It's Vancouver's podcast on the Canada's Podcast Network.
Alecia Repp is a small-town girl from Alberta who moved to the big city of Vancouver at the age of 17 to start a new life for herself. She became a professional makeup artist running her own business. During that time, she was also creating side projects like business trainings and online courses. Now, she is living full-time in Thailand and running a full-time coaching and consulting business. She also runs a branding agency. Most importantly, she started a retreat business called the Self-Love Retreat, and the first one is coming this August in Greece. Well, Alicia, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time today to be here for all our listeners.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Great. Okay, I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself. We know you're from Alberta, so also give us the details on your current business, or businesses as in your case.
All right. So, as you heard, I grew up in a small town in Alberta and very quickly realized that town was too small for this girl. So I took online courses to graduate high school early. And at that time, I had already been working full time since grade 10, I believe. And so I already had a bank account full of money, so I moved to Vancouver at 17 and paid for my college tuition in cash and was just so motivated to start this new life for myself. And so in Vancouver, it was really interesting because being from a small town, it was a lot of culture shock for me, not knowing anybody and having to pave the way for myself all over again. And so through my makeup career, I really built some solid skills with networking, with studying business and taking care of clients and, making clients loyal and creating a service that was really above and beyond. Like, I didn't want to just be a makeup artist. So I really made sure that in my makeup career, which I ran for 10 years, I really made sure that I created something unique. So I told people from the get-go, I'm not just a makeup artist and I'm not going to do your makeup like everyone else. And that really allowed me to differentiate myself and create a new market in such a saturated place like Vancouver, because there is literally so many makeup schools in Vancouver and they're just pumping out makeup artists. And so I knew I had to do something about it to make a good life for myself. I didn't want to just get by in a city like Vancouver. It's very expensive. So I really put the blinders on and just kept moving forward towards my vision and my dreams. And I knew that I was going to be able to create something amazing. And so, of course, the first few years of my makeup career, I was struggling, starving artist mode. And, it took some time to get some traction. But to be honest, even while I was in school, I had paying makeup clients. So I was always very eager, and I knew what I was doing was worth it. So, over time, I started realizing how I can, network with the people that want my services. So I wasn't just doing beauty makeup. I was doing body painting. I was doing location weddings. I was doing music videos. I was working on Hollywood movies. So I wasn't just hitting one market in the makeup industry. I was diversifying myself and kind of spreading myself out in Vancouver, because there's so many industries there for me. And that really worked itself out, because over time, my phone would not stop ringing, seriously. Like, I didn't even have to market myself anymore, because people would just pass my name on. Because literally, when I was a makeup artist, like, I created a style of doing makeup where their makeup would look exactly the same the next morning, even after sleeping on it. And so that's a very big asset as, a makeup artist, because a lot of the time, even on a film job that I was on, I was, correcting, and I was supposed to upkeep the key makeup artist's makeup. And I was seriously babysitting that makeup all day. And thankfully, the next day I got to do the same makeup look, but I got to apply the first like the first initiation of the makeup. And literally the day that I did the makeup, I didn't have to watch the makeup once. All I had to do was like light touch-ups around the nose just for shine and things like that. And so that was really an eye-opening experience for me, realizing, wow, like I am really good and what I have to offer is amazing. So I actually stopped doing films at that point because I was like, it's not the industry for me. I'm so much more than a makeup artist. And throughout my years, I was studying business, online marketing. I was studying psychology and mindset. And I was just a sponge, like soaking up information and wisdom wherever I was, because I knew that I was on a path to create something amazing in the world. And I knew makeup wasn't the be all end all. And so in 2015, I went to 2 Tony Robbins events. The first one was Unleash the Power Within in LA. The second one was Date with Destiny in Florida. And these 2 events really blasted me wide open and helped me release any limiting beliefs that I had around the next phase of where I wanted to take my career. Because I was really, my body was starting to break down after 10 years of being a makeup artist. And so my back was starting to hurt, my wrists were starting to notice pain, and I didn't want to, be a makeup artist for 10 more years if that's what was already coming through in my body. And so after Halloween on October, 2016, October 2016, after Halloween, I said, I am done. I will not continue this pattern any longer. I cannot be a makeup artist. And so I bought myself a one-way plane ticket to Bali. This would have been my second time going there, so I already was comfortable, can speak the language and all that. And I just said, screw it, let's do it. I'm jumping in full faith to start my coaching business because I said I feel ready. I know that I cannot continue being a makeup artist. I have to challenge myself and start something new. And so I moved to Bali to start my coaching business. And thankfully, I already had a following online because I had been posting inspiring content for over 10 years on Facebook, posting makeup images and, motivational content and videos. So when I made the transition, it was actually quite easy because I already had a roster of warm traffic and hot leads that were ready to work with me. So that was a big blessing. It's not like I had to start my second career cold, right? And so now, I guess I lived in Bali for 8 months at that time. And by the time I left, I had a full roster of clients. I was doing some group coaching stuff as well. And I wanted to go to Vancouver so that I could tie up any loose ends that we had there. Like I still had an apartment there and a few other things. So my partner Troy and we flew back to Canada and tied up all these loose ends and, had some hiccups along the way. And then we flew to Thailand where we're living now and running our business full time. We both do coaching and consulting. We run a branding agency like you heard. And yeah, it's amazing to be in Thailand because when we moved, we knew the energy of what we wanted for our life. We just didn't know where it was going to be. So we followed our divine guidance and we followed our intuition. And we actually first flew to Phuket in Thailand. And within literally a few hours, we were like, this is not our spot at all. And so we booked a plane ticket to Chiang Mai. And that's where we live now, and we're absolutely in love with this city. We're in love with the community, and I'm just so excited to be here to set up an even more solid foundation for the next years of what we're building.
Okay, great. What is the long-term vision, and what will your company look like in the future? Do you see the company expanding into other areas?
Yes, amazing questions. So right now, we are doing our own coaching and consulting. So we work privately with our clients. We have one sort of group program as well. But down the line, we want to create a coaching confederation because we see so much poor standard out there for coaches and consultants, and we don't want any more stigma to the industry. We want to make it a great industry because we believe coaching and consulting is a very powerful tool and opportunity for people. And so we don't want the world to feel jaded to this industry because it actually is really amazing and it can help a lot of people. So my partner and I are actually creating a standard for what coaching and consulting should be and how coaches should treat their clients and what kind of experience the client should go through, and making sure that results are the main intention behind it all, and providing a service that's very valuable, and also that gives the coach and the client the capacity to care for each other also, because we see a lot of the time that as coaches and consultants grow to the mass market, it's very hard to care deeply for your clients. So we're really creating a service where people can be cared for as a human and not just a number in their system.
Right, exactly. So how did you finance your business? Was it just through consulting and work like that, or did you bootstrap it? How'd that work out?
Well, when I bought my one-way ticket to Bali, I had a bunch of savings from my makeup career. I had just finished bridal season, which is a huge cash cow. And then I finished Halloween, which is like one day where I'm working like 6 a.m. until midnight in one day and just making so much money. So I had a nice savings with me, thank God. So when I went to Bali, I was really secure for those 8 months to just build. And for me, I was really taking pride in organic traffic at that time. And now we have definitely stepped up into using advertising, using sales funnels, and using all of these tools to make our life easier.
Okay. Now, we have a lot of international listeners to the podcast. So on this next question, I want you to speak to them. What are the biggest benefits for you in being an entrepreneur in Vancouver, BC? I want you to give us some of the good points about starting a company in Vancouver, but I also want you to give us some of the tough things or challenges for our listeners so they can keep an eye out for them.
Okay, so you mean in terms of being an entrepreneur in Vancouver?
Yeah, like being, put yourself back into Vancouver and say, here's some of the things that were great, here's some of the things that were tough.
Totally. So I did live in Vancouver for 10 years, and I moved there at the age of 17. And so when I moved there, I was just like this kid with a big sparkle in her eye. Of course, excited to create a makeup artist business. And at that time, I had only known that there was such a thing as a makeup school for a year. And I was the youngest kid in my school and in my class. And so they called me a rock star, honestly, because, from the day I started school, I was like, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to volunteer and I'm going to, put myself out there in every opportunity possible. So my course was 2 full days and a half day a week. And literally the rest of the days and the half day, I was out there working. And the cool thing I find about Vancouver is, there is so many industries there and so many opportunities. So you can create a network very fast, right? But I think what the challenging part for me was, being in such a saturated market as a makeup artist when I first started, it was harder to find paid work, and it was harder to find really well paid work too. So I really had to be diligent and keep my intentions very clear so that I was not building myself, a business that I didn't like, because I can't do that, right? I'm not going to show up if I don't like what I'm doing. And so I think Vancouver really challenged me because it's an expensive city, and I was putting myself in an industry that can be, very much about quantity, because there is so many makeup artists there. So I was like, okay, I need to be the quality artist, not just the person who slaps on some fake eyelashes and some powder and sends you on your way. I really made sure that my service was a divine appointment. So it was making the woman feel good from the inside out and not just putting on makeup and sending her off, And I guess in Vancouver, I think that really a lot of people resonated with that, because I find a lot of people in Vancouver are very open to, the spiritual stuff and, the awakening and things like that. And so when women would meet me in Vancouver, they would feel like this breath of fresh air, like, wow, who are you? You're so different. And I think that's how it allowed me to really build my career so fast. And I think the big challenge in Vancouver is, staying focused, because it can be so easy to get down on yourself for, not you're not getting the results you want as fast as you want, or, not meeting the right people at the right time, because it is, a pretty big city and it's very fast paced. And a lot of the time people do have like 2 or 3 jobs just to stay ahead, or even just to put food on the table, right? And so I did find, for me personally, that I didn't have much of a social life there. And so to find a balance and harmony, it was very difficult for me. So I just kind of made nature as my, my social outlet. I would just go to nature and, invite a friend or two to go on a hike and create a system that way where I could still be social and get my nature in, and, and try and get people out of their bubble, because a lot of people do get stuck in this grind in Vancouver, I find. And especially in rainy season, it's like people hibernate and then they get depressed. And so I didn't want to live that way. And I always made a pact that, even during rainy season, I was going to go outside and I was going to stay busy and I was going to go to parties and I was going to network and keep putting myself out there. Because if you stop and get stagnant when it's raining, you're going to become sad and then you're going to lose momentum, right? And so that was a big motivator for me to sort of it put a lot of great work ethic under me, I think. And one thing that me and Troy always say is, like, if you can make it in Vancouver, you can make it in any city.
Right. Okay. Now let's go back to when you were 17. If you were to start all over again and you just moved to Vancouver, BC, but this time you don't know anyone, knowing what you know now, what would you do and how would you go about starting all over again as an entrepreneur?
Wow, that's a great question. So if I was just moving to Vancouver at 17 again, with all of the knowledge I have now, I would invest in high-level help much faster. I would not try to do it on my own for so long. And I would, reach out to people, and I would have created like a meetup event much, much, much sooner, so that I can create community around me and help people. And as I'm helping people, they would be helping me too, and we would just keep expanding the network like that. So those are 2 things I would definitely have done much sooner.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about your routine. What does the first hour look like for you when you get up in the morning? Do you have a specific routine or a ritual that helps you get motivated to start your day?
Yeah, I definitely do. So I'm so lucky right now. I have my own office, and so it's in my house, of course. So, I walk across the hallway from my bedroom to my office, which is a blessing. And what I love to do is make a cup of Earl Grey tea and put on some soothing music and just kind of get into my body a bit with some stretching or dancing or a workout, depends what I'm feeling. And then from that moment, I'll get my journal out and write my intentions for the day. And I just kind of like to sit in reflection mode for the first hour and try and keep my mind as calm as possible and as centered as possible, so that I can keep that kind of focus throughout the entire day. Because if I'm going to start my day triggered with social media and emails and all this stuff, it's not going to be a very fun day.
Okay, do you think entrepreneurs have to be weird or unique in a positive way, or are wired differently?
Yeah, being an entrepreneur is not for everyone, because I think you've probably heard this quote out there. It's like, entrepreneurs, do what nobody will do for 2 to 3 to 5 years, so they can live the life that nobody will get to experience, or hardly anyone, because they don't put that work in, right? And I'm really starting to experience that. Like, of course, I just started my full-time coaching business a few years ago, so it's getting traction now and it's working for me, which is amazing. But I did forget actually how much hard work it is to start a business when I moved to Bali. So that was a funny, eye-opening experience again. But thankfully, I had already learned, how not to burn myself out and how not to stress myself out too much around, deadlines and goals and results and all of that. And so I think that's really important to be aware of, is not to drain yourself just for the sake of like a little win. It's like, keep yourself healthy. Your health is most important over, making a big paycheck. And I think that's something that every entrepreneur should know. It's, taking those actions every day that scare you, that are going to move the needle forward. And a lot of the time as a coach, I see people, filling their to-do list with, 33 things. And then I ask them what's on that list. And they could probably scratch off 30 of those things and do the 3 things that are actually going to get them the results they want. But a lot of the times people keep themselves busy, so they think that they're getting the results that they want, and they think they're moving towards success, but really they're just slowing down the process.
Okay, what books are you reading right now and why, or even audiobooks? And can you recommend any books for our listeners who are also aspiring entrepreneurs?
So that's a great question. And to be honest, I'm actually not a very good book reader, but what I like to do is I'm a very big studier. So I'm the kind of person that asks the question like, who does Tony Robbins learn from? Who does Marie Forleo learn from? And so all these freaks, who does Oprah learn from? And so then I go to those people and I start consuming their content. So, Wyatt Woodsmall, Eben Pagan, people like that. I'm really inspired and I trust their content so much because it's so valuable. And so I will consume their content till the end of time, and I'll consume the same piece of content 50 times because every time I'm going to get something else out of it.
Any online or offline tools that you like to use on a daily basis?
Facebook.
Okay, that's a big one. Social media?
Yeah. It's huge. Yeah, social media I'm all over social media, and it's really fun and exciting to me. I like to view social media as like, in the tribal days, people would sit around campfire. And we don't really do that anymore nowadays, but I like to use social media in that way where it's sharing stories, passing on wisdom, giving people the opportunity to open up. And I think if more people use social media in that way, it can be a much better place.
Okay, when you lived in BC, how did you relax and balance work and play? And what were your favorite activities to do in BC? Did you ski? Did you bike, kayak, golf, hike, or simply go for a drive?
That's great. So in Vancouver, I was a big skateboarder, longboarder. I would walk everywhere too. Like I used to live by Oak Ridge Mall, and I would walk downtown, and that's like Cambie and 41st, walking all the way downtown. But I would love it. It was so detoxifying for me, and it cleared my brain, and I loved it. So I would walk a lot, or run, bike, seriously everything. Play soccer, snowboarding.
That's the good thing about Vancouver. It is a small city, so it is manageable where you can realistically walk everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can walk. And I loved it. It was amazing to walk everywhere.
If you weren't doing what you do now, what would you like to do for a profession?
The thing is that the way that I am designed on a DNA level, I am supposed to be a coach. And so I denied this for so long in my life. And so many people in my life told me, you must be a coach. You're going to be a great coach. And I was like, nah, are you serious? I'm a makeup artist. What are you talking about? And then it was that day I finally said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I am a good coach. I need to be a coach. The world needs me because there's so many bad coaches out there. And so honestly, I would be doing what I'm doing now. And I'm so grateful I can finally say that.
What kind of a job would you not like to do? Couldn't do it?
Every job.
Anything 9 to 5?
Any job I couldn't do. I can't work for someone else because I have such a big personality and such big visions and dreams and goals. I want to be the person creating a powerful team around me.
In business, what is your favorite word, quote, or sentence that you like to use?
Fail to plan, plan to fail to plan to fail.
What is your least favorite word or sentence you do not like to hear?
Hustle until death. I hate that word hustle, honestly.
Okay, if you had to pick 1 or 2 words to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
Passionate and deep. I think I'm very deep and a very deep and passionate person. And I was really scared of like the depth of my being for a long time. Now I've started using it as an asset and a tool. And so I actually was listening to this amazing interview the other day from Jay Shetty, and he was saying, passion is for yourself. And when you start to put that in action to help other people, that is purpose. So I really like those two words, passion and purpose also.
What keeps you up at night, if anything?
Well, in all honesty, right now, I'm so focused and committed and working on my visions every day that by the time 8 o'clock rolls around, I am so tired I pass out instantly.
So you're out. There's nothing keeping you out. State of the world, nothing like that.
No, by the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I need to rest so I can wake up and do it all over again.
Okay, I want you to give us the top 3 things on your inspired life list. This could be a bucket list of any sort, whether you want to travel more, if you want to write books, philanthropy, TEDx talk, anything like that.
Yeah, so I'm just starting a movement for women, and women's empowerment is part of one of my big passions because I've freed myself from a lot of conditioning in my life and healed myself from a lot of deep wounds. And I know what is possible for women once they start to own their voice and live into their truth. And so that is one of my big passions, is creating a women's empowerment movement that ripples into the whole world. The next thing I'm passionate about is educating children in a way that allows them to live into their purpose and passion as well. And the next thing is my partner and I have started a nonprofit organization called SLAM, and this is all about helping the ocean and providing education and awareness around the ocean, because we're really sad at the state of it, and we want to provide contribution to that cause and be part of people who are paving that way forward, because somebody needs to do it, and there are amazing people out there doing it. We want to link arms with them as well.
Okay, do you have any advice that you may have received that you can pass on to entrepreneurs throughout BC?
Any advice?
That you may have received.
Well, there's so much. I think what comes to mind right now is one of my amazing mentors, Valen. He taught me something really cool. And, I already was doing this in my life, but when he brought it to my attention, I realized how amazing and important it is. And so I think nowadays it can be so easy for people to get distracted and unfocused. And so what's really important as an entrepreneur is to have unblocked, super focused amounts of time, like for hours and hours and hours of committed, focused time where you're working on one thing. And that is when you get into flow state, and that is when you start to get breakthroughs happening in your life. If you're only going to spend 20 minutes on a project, you might as well not do it. You might as well just leave it behind because it's not going to be at its full capacity, right? But when you cut out all distractions, turn off social media, get rid of your phone for the day, close your office door, and put your head down and work for hours on end, you get into these crazy flow states where you will be surprised what will come out of you, and the content and the stuff that you will create. And so I think that's really important for all entrepreneurs to do. And the other thing is, which I'm really starting to tune into, is thinking like a CEO. Because as an entrepreneur, it can be easy to just have an idea and then put it out there, have an idea, put it out there. But, we need to really think like a CEO so we can really, think about the future vision of the company and think about what's coming up and making choices from that place, and even taking out focused blocks of time to just process everything you've already done and think about it and visualize it and just have that quiet time to almost meditate so that you can be a good CEO and entrepreneur in your business and start to really think beyond, this month's paycheck or whatever it is.
Right. Okay, Alicia, are you ready to have some fun?
I love fun.
Okay, great. Well, as you were just mentioning a couple minutes ago, entrepreneurs are very, very busy people. We're always connected, social media. We're always connected via phones and you name it. We have a lot on our plate, but we're going to take you away from all that. There's a small tropical island just off of Fiji that only has one phone booth there. There is no internet. This place does exist. We're going to drop you off there. You won't have a computer or a smartphone or a tablet. You can use the phone booth located there anytime to call the boat. We'll come pick you up. How long would you last before you made that call? And what would you do while you were there?
I think I would last a long time, to be honest. That sounds like a lot of fun. I would be building, huts and checking out the island, and I think I would really tap into my element there, to be honest. If it's just me and nature, wow, I would have, a lot of fun. So I think I could last, a few weeks to a month if there was enough food.
Okay, there is a phone booth there, so there's a phone booth there, so it's got to go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, Alicia, how can our listeners get hold of you? And is there anything you'd like to add before you leave us today?
So the best place to reach me is on Facebook, Alecia Repp. And anything else I'd like to say? If there's any women listening, check out my profile and the self-love movement / the self-love retreat. I would love to hold space for any women who need that kind of opportunity.
Great. Okay, that sounds like a great opportunity. That event in Greece would be great for women to take part in. And I hope our listeners call you up on that and get involved.
Thank you so much.
Great. Okay, well, thank you for coming on the show. I've learned a lot about you, and I'm sure our listeners have as well.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll see you next time, Alicia.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, bye.